Hi, Joe Carrig with the Carrig Real Estate Team, and this is your San Ramon Valley update for the week of November 14th. And since we're not going to shoot next week, I want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. And always remember, if we're thankful for what we have, it's hard to have a tough day. So what's this market look like going into 2023? Well, that's what we're going to talk about. What do we have in store in 2023? And I can tell you, it's all going to be about the interest rates. As we know, the Federal Reserve literally just upped again 0.75% on the discount rate, but yet we saw rates actually go down about 0.5%. And people ask, well, how does that happen? Why does that happen? Well, remember, the mortgage companies, the basically lending the money, they bake into their interest rate because they know interest rates are going to basically continue to go up. So yes, the Federal Reserve did raise it by 0.75%, but the reason interest rates actually dropped is because of the good news we got of the consumer price index, where maybe inflation is just starting to tamper down a little bit. So now the anticipation is the fact the Federal Reserve will probably raise maybe 0.5% in December, maybe 0.25% in January. But then what we're going to start seeing is the market come down a little bit. And so the mortgage companies felt, okay, we can back off the interest rates. We don't have to continue to bake it in because it's going to continue to go up and up and up and up. Yes, maybe a little bit more, unless for some reason the consumer price index does a radical turn and inflation just takes off again. But I think when you look at the cost of goods, and you look at the interest rates behind the cars and everything else, the houses, we're definitely seeing a tamping down of inflation a little bit. So what's ahead for 2023? Like I said, it's all about the interest rates. You can see from January up until now, rates have almost have really over doubled. From 3% all the way to over 7%. Do you know that's the first time ever that rates have doubled within 1 year? And obviously that's partial because they were so low in the beginning. But again, this is what it's all about. It's all about the 7% interest rates. It was like 7.5 to 8, and then it went down, to around 6.75 this last week or so. So obviously, if we see the rates continue to go down, through the year, I think halfway through 2023, we might be talking about 5% interest rate. And I know that's funny because when it was 2.5 to 3, you go, well, geez, Joe, that's still double. But you know what? When 7% is the new normal, 5% looks okay. It's just like right now, $4.50 gas looks okay because we were paying $6. So again, that's kind of the new normal. So Len Kiefer, the Deputy Chief Economist of Freddie Mac, basically says U.S. 30-year fixed mortgage rates have increased 3.83 percent points since the end of last year. That's the biggest year-to-date increase in over 50 years, basically since they've been tracking it. So yes, we have seen a huge increase. But just 1 year ago, rates were under 3. That means that while mortgage rates are not as high as they were in the 80s, they've more than doubled in the past year. Mortgage rates have never doubled in a year before, and that's from the Freddie Mac quarterly report. So is recession right around the corner? Well, you know what? If you look at the GDP, which basically would tell us in 2 negative quarters, they say we're in a recession. Well, the government Washington decided to change the definition, so now they're saying that we're not in a recession. But so based on not being in a recession, this is who basically feels that a recession is around the corner. Now in January, this is a Wall Street Journal Economist survey. In January, they thought 18% of the people thought that we would be in a recession. And now up to October, it's 63%. So most people either feel that we're already in a recession or we're definitely going to get into a recession. And remember what we talked about. What do? They raise the rates to go into a recession to tamper down, because inflation is what basically causes, a recession when prices go nuts. So what they do is they raise the rates to tamp down the inflation, and they expect maybe for a year or two, and then obviously as they try to work us out of the recession, what do? they lower the interest rates, and you'll see that later on. So 76% of adults are making lifestyle changes. So, to prepare for a potential recession. Delaying major purchases like a home or car, 34%. So we sit there and go, oh my God, went from almost 7 million homes a year. Now they're talking about 5 million homes a year. Well, why? Well, we got 34% of the people, because of the higher interest rates, and because we're going into a recession, are delaying buying a car or a house. Paying down debt, 29%. Planning to reduce holiday spending, 28%. Allocating more income to savings, 24%. Staying in a job they don't enjoy, 14%. But what does this all do? Well, exactly what they want a recession to do, and why they're raising the interest rates. They want people to quit spending. So this is exactly why they do it. When you look at these graphs, it is to keep people from spending money, because the more money you spend, basically that's what raises the inflation. So Mark Fleming, the chief economist of First American, says home price appreciation has slowed in all 50 markets we track, but the more deceleration is generally more dramatic in areas that experience the strongest peak appreciation rates. Yes, California. Yes, Seattle. But especially like in the states like Texas and Idaho and Arizona. So all the places that went nuts, obviously the first to go up and the highest to go up, the further you go, the further you have the fall. And that's kind of what we're seeing. And it's a normal correction that we went through. Like we talked about what happened 6 months ago, we went into this correction where prices dropped 10 to 20%, but now they've kind of stabilized. So home price forecast for 2023. Now, if you remember last month, I showed you this, and Zelman was the only one that they felt that prices were actually going to go down in 2023. Now you have Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac that both feel that prices are going to pull back a little bit, but you still have the Mortgage Bankers Association, National Association of Real Estate, and the Home Price Index, all expecting prices to continue to go up, but not by a lot. But when you average all these out, it basically means that prices are going to stay fairly stable. Total homes dropping this year and next. When we talk about people are pulling back from making those major purchases, you see it right here. In 2021, there were 6.9 million homes sold. We were expecting in 2022, 6 months ago, that there'd be over 7 million. Well, we're going to end up at 5.8. And projected for 2023, they're thinking 5.1. Because again, in a recession, people pull back their spending. That's the whole idea around it. And then, but when we start to go down into the tank because no one's spending money, that's when they lower the interest rate, free up the money in the economy, and people start purchasing again. But look at the 2023 home sale forecast. Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, a Mortgage Bankers Association, and NAR. Averages out still 5 to 5.5 million, which is not a bad year. You got to remember, 2021 with almost 7 million homes was really out of the curve. Usually we're always around 5 to 6 million. And then Odeta Kushi, Deputy Chief Economist of First American, if you can find a house that meets your financial expectations for a monthly payment, it is a good time for you to buy, then do it. And if you wait for prices to fall, but they never do, you may discover the hard way that the house that you found a year ago that you really love, that you could afford but pass up, is now more expensive next year. And I think that's what we're starting to see. We've seen the market kind of stabilize. So if interest rates go down, I'm telling you right now that if interest rates go down in the 5, it's going to pump up this market. And not that we're going to see 2021 again, but we're definitely going to see a lot of enthusiasm in the buying part, which obviously supply and demand. Because see, supply and demand, we already don't have enough homes because of the millennials buying and for all the other reasons, and because of the underbuilding the last 14 years. There's not enough homes out there. But what's happened is the buyers have pulled back. So where there was that much demand and this much supply, now it's like right around here. But the minute people feel, okay, interest rates have peaked, the market's starting to get a little bit better, interest rates drop, you're going to see that supply and demand go back out of whack, and you're going to see prices go up again. Could be 2023, might be 2024, but it's definitely going to happen. It's just like when I talk to people as far as the prices, going up or going down, that at some point we knew they were going to go down. We just didn't know when. Just like right now, we know they're going to turn and go back up. We just don't know when. So the next slides show our market update in the San Ramon Valley. And the one thing you'll see is look at the San Ramon market. You see the active properties have continued to go down. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, that's normal for this time of year. We always see activity go down. A lot of people aren't listing their homes around Thanksgiving through Christmas. So you'll continue to see that go down. But you can see for the most part, now pending properties in San Ramon went down a little bit, but for the most part, it's staying pretty consistent because that's what I look at as the pending properties compared to the active properties. So you look at the Danville market and look at this. Pending properties are staying about the same, but yet the active properties are dropping slightly. I mean, when you see figures like this, or even when you look at Blackhawk, when you see figures like that, it's basically a stable market. The actives and the pendings are staying about the same, with the actives going down a little bit just because of the time of the year. Alamo market, look at the active properties go down, pending properties have stayed the same. So again, this is a definition of what we have as a stable market. You know, I want to show you one thing that you know, going back to the San Ramon market, is if you remember when you have the situation where we had like 8-9 months ago, there were twice as many pendings as there were active. So the 60 days when the market corrected, we had a situation where there are now twice as many actives as pendings. It completely flip-flop. But since that time, we've seen a stabilization of the market. Now, when you look at San Ramon, you got 59 actives and 43 pendings, darn near almost the same. So you have a situation where in the Danville market, you know, 71-36, almost double. The Blackhawk market, you know, obviously not a lot of pendings. Most of those homes on the market in Blackhawk are multi-million-dollar homes. So again, you're seeing when you look at a market like San Ramon, or even you look at a market like Dublin, you can see it's very stable with the active properties and the pending properties staying about the same. So right now, if someone were asking me, I say, hey, it's a stable market. It's leaning still. There's still a lack of supply out there. So again, you know, if we see movement in the interest rates down, you're going to see people jump back in the market. So if you're a buyer, it's a great time to buy. You're not competing with a lot of people, and the prices now have dropped 10 to 20%. And yeah, will they drop maybe a couple dollars more? They might, but before you know it, they're going to be up that 10 and 20%. And you're going to miss out because not only won't you be able to, you have to pay 10 to 20% more, you might not even be able to buy the home because of the lack of supply and the multiple offers like we saw 8 months ago. You look at the sold price, the list price, and everything's in the 90s. San Ramon, 96%, Danville, 94%, Blackhawk and Alamo, 99, 96, and Dublin, 91. So you have a situation where you, like we talked about, this is based on what it finally was listed at, comparatively what it sold at. These numbers would definitely be more like around 90% if we could track on what they originally started, because we're still seeing a lot of price reductions, but slowly but surely we're getting to transparent pricing. Again, what's transparent pricing? It's where if you feel a home's worth $1.5 million, you're putting it at $1.5 million and it's selling for $1.5 million. So we're not seeing as many price reductions, but we're still seeing them. So, but every market is a little bit different out there. Even homes within the same market are different. So if you have any questions, again, if you're thinking about selling, it's a good time to have that conversation, because if you have, 50% of the people that think that the market's going to continue to go down, 40% like myself that feel it's kind of stabilized, and then you have 10% of the people that feel that prices are going to go up, well, then you have 90% of the people either think it's going to stay the same or go down. So if you have a reason to sell in the next year, if you have a plan, then you should certainly have that conversation. So again, every home's a little bit different. And if you're a buyer, man, reach out. There's some deals out there that you can pick up. And believe me, you remember when interest rates people go, and we talked about it a couple weeks ago, marry the house and date the rate, where people sat there and said, geez, look at it, rates are so high. Okay, well, marry the house, get the house you want, date the rate, and when the rates go down in a couple years, dump that ugly rate and get the new one. Let me ask you a question. I bought my first home in 1982. It was 18%. But yet you won't find one person that bought their home in 1982 and kept it that was upset about paying 18% and buying that home. Because eventually they refinanced down, or paid it off, and now that home that I paid $75,000 for is worth $1.6 million. So unfortunately, I still don't own that first home because I had to sell it to buy my next home. So again, marry the house, date the rate, but make sure you reach out, especially now. In my 45 years of professionally selling real estate, this will be the 7th recession I've sold for. So make sure you get expert help. Again, Joe Carrig, 925-487-6838, or drop me an email, joe@carrigteam.com, or visit our website to see all of our listings and learn more about the Carrig team, www.carrigteam.com. Again, happy Thanksgiving, and we're all very blessed, and we will talk to you soon.